I don't think I have a big enough workbench for this.
Here's an absolute beast of a machine. This is a Sony SLO-260. So there was SL for the consumer grade beta VCRs and SLO, I believe O stood for office, but essentially it's sort of the business grade equipment. So it's the stuff not necessarily sold for use in the home, but for sold in use in, say, classrooms, businesses, wherever. And this thing is massive, and I believe it is a clone of one of the first Betamax VCRs that Sony sold. I think this is similar to the SLO-7200. Difference is, it's got a mic jack. I don't think the 7200A had that. I don't think it had a headphone jack. The difference between the A and the 7200 was the A had a line in. And I believe this has a line in. Oh yeah, and it's B and C. And pretty standard for beta. It has the 3.5mm audio. VHF out. Should have VHF in because it's got a tuner on it. Is that maybe just hidden back here? Oh yeah, there we are, VHF in and UHF in. Doesn't have a pass-through for the UHF. Has a lovely VU meter, your program select, which is your RF modulator. That is a chunky switch. Your counter with a memory. Your input select for what you record off of. Now your audio, you can have manual audio level controls, or you can put a limiter on. So it doesn't have automatic level control, but it does have a limiter, so if it hits too hard, it'll back off. But you still need to have it manually adjusted and set. Over here we got tracking, with a nice indent for fixed, and a big pause switch that I believe is like a solenoid that holds it in place. You got power, standby, and record lights. Some wonderful piano keys. This goes against Technology Connections video on beta having a nice, smooth eject. So some backstory with this. I picked this up locally quite a while ago, actually. A few months ago. And I took it apart in the basement, and it was acting like it just needed new rubber, and I'm like, oh, cool. And then it just stopped working. So electronically, when I first tried it out, you put a tape in and it would try and load the tape around the head, fail because the belts are all worn out. There's rubber tires that are all worn out. But at some point, I think I may have shorted something out because I had this little circuit board down the front here. And I think either it just died, electronics die when you power them on for the first time in decades. It either died because of that or because of something I did, but the motor drive doesn't engage anymore. So I checked the physical switches, detect a tape, but it didn't do anything. So it's been sitting for a while, and let's try it out and see if it still has that fault. And then let's see if I can actually get it working. I mean, I might have to order like a service manual. I don't believe you can get an SLO-260 service manual, but you can get a 7200A service manual, which might be close enough. And something interesting to note with this VCR, this is kind of, well, this was useless by the time the 80s rolled around. When Beta first came out, when Sony introduced Beta and then their Betamax systems, they had one speed, just like VHS originally had one speed. It was retroactively first called X1, then changed to Beta 1, but this is the Beta 1 speed. This speed died off within a couple models of when this came out. And they didn't just do it, VHS didn't say, we offer SP, that's our original speed, standard play, but we also offer extended play on JVC models or long play and super long play on Panasonic models. No. They threw the original speed completely in the garbage and released a new model that only did half speed, X2, now called Beta 2. Yeah, I need to correct myself there. The SL-8200 that came out after the 7200A was a two-speed Betamax. It had X1 and X2. But then the SL-8600 that came out afterwards was a single-speed X2. And all the consumer beta VCRs afterwards would not record in X1 or Beta 1. And then they came out with another model that did they call it X3? Or I think by then they named it Beta 3. So they did Beta 2 and 3. And all consumer beta VCRs that you'll find, except for a few exceptions, will only record in Beta 2 and 3. And the Sony models will play Beta 1. But, Sanyo, Toshiba, even Zeniths made by Sony won't even play Beta 1. And this machine only supports Beta 1, as shown by this label. This is a Beta 1 machine. It plays beta tapes only at high speed. Many newer beta tapes are recorded at slower speeds and cannot be played on this VCR. If your beta tape runs too fast, do not attempt to adjust this machine. Get a newer beta VCR. Very harsh sales tactic. So I do have some Beta 1 tapes, but this is not one of them, but we're only trying the loading. So let's power it on. Got a lovely neon lamp behind the dial, and I think, does the UHF one light up? Oh, lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. But the main attraction, oh yeah, and when you hold down eject, it spins up the motor. So you can see one of the reel tables there moving, and we won't be able to tell. Oh yeah, you can sort of see it there. The head drum spins. But I don't think it'll try and load the tape. No. This is what broke when I was playing around with it. Won't let you go into play. What should be happening is the standby light should be lighting up, and it should be trying to load the tape around the head. So with Betamax, Sony models, I think it was Sanyo models didn't, most Sanyo models, but Sony, Toshiba, most Beta VCRs, when you put the tape in, it would immediately load the tape around the head. It'd be ready to go. And that was different from VHS. Eventually VHS did the same thing later on, but early stuff like this, only Beta did. Okay, let's take this apart and look inside. Okay, here's a look with the top off. And wow, wow, wow. The thing I love about these old machines is just that they're built like tanks. Everything in here is metal. Everything is held in with C-clips and springs and has oil lubrication and is just... I guess there's a plastic piece here. But yeah, it's mostly metal and it's just insane. And like that, it's all apart. Unfortunately, you have to take almost every piece off. You have to take the bottom off and the top off to get the front off. I just took the sides off so the whole thing can be exposed. I've removed this front board because I seem to remember that a lot of the switches that control the functions went through here. And I've swung out this bottom board so we can take a look at the underside. Look at that. Look at the size of those belts. So this has one motor that drives the video head drum and the capstan, and then drives the reel tables as well. So this does everything, and I believe it's just this little tiny motor up here that actually loads the tape around the video head. But this big AC motor does all the heavy lifting. Like if I hit eject here, and that rattling is just those little pulleys that the belt is spinning on. Right there. Just a bit of rattling. But the issue is that this motor doesn't start to try and spin when a tape is in. And there's a little tape detection switch. And if I recall, these switches are all switching AC, so I need to be, careful. Also, don't do this unless you know what you're doing, and definitely don't touch stuff while it's plugged in.
All right, out of curiosity, because I want to see, if it's even worth getting this all going, I manually wound this motor all the way. So on the top of the machine here, you can see the tape has now been pulled out of the cassette. Let's see, get an angle there. Yeah, the tape's been pulled out, and it's been fully loaded around the video head drum. And now if I press play, that's moving, capstan's moving, the take-up spool is moving. Does pause work? Oh, wait, nope. It was working. It must be weak. Oh, that's disastrous. I am eating my words here. Will rewind fix my problem? Ah. Sort of. Fast forward. No.
All right, all of this is besides the point. This is jumping ahead. That tape falling out could be because I have it on its side and whatever. I need to focus on why that motor's not working. And people are probably already screaming at me behind the computers saying, check the power supply. Because this is running on AC. These neon lamps, I believe, are running on AC. A lot of this runs on AC, but that's a DC motor. And I think these little lights here are DC. So check the power supply. And I think this might be power supply related over here. I don't know how easily it is to see that. Let me open that up and see, because I think that fuse might be blown. What a fiddly little board to get out. I actually had to go and unplug this little wire here from this connector there to get it out. And in the process, for safety, I discharged the positive from this capacitor to the grounded frame here. So yeah, we're discharged. Oops. Anyway, that fuse is totally blown. I just checked with a multimeter. So I can make an assumption that I made a mistake and shorted something out when I was troubleshooting, but it could also be components like capacitors reforming and drawing too much current, or just failing entirely. This is a Sony product from the 70s full of gray element capacitors, something to keep in mind. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to replace this with a 2.5 amp fuse and just see if we get the function of that motor back. Baby steps. It's a neat little power supply though. Look at those old diodes. Whenever I see diodes like this, I just think of, there was an 8-bit guy video where he was repairing an old Apple monitor, and one of these was it's like an Apple monitor that was found outside Computer Reset that was in the dirt forever. And one of these diodes had just disintegrated into nothing. And that's all I think of when I see these now is just disintegrating into nothing. These appear fine, so leave them alone. Okay, new fuse is in, soldered. Let's see if this pops immediately. All right, I've disconnected all of the connectors I'm assuming that are supplying power to the rest of the machine. I did reconnect this 3-pin wire here because it appears to go to a transistor. You can kind of see right there. It's being heat sunk here. So, without any other loads plugged in, let's see if she pops. I think that's good. All right, moment of truth. Will that fuse pop? Oh, excellent. I heard solenoids and I heard that motor run. I actually have the belt taken off on it because I was manually winding it. Awesome. That's a very good first step. I was thinking that what had happened was when I was playing around in here with this board, I let this board move and short something. That is what I think happened, but yeah, we'll see.
Wow, I went to go reinstall this belt. Let me see if I can get some light on it here. This is an actually round belt. Like, it's not square like you see on newer stuff. This is so old, it's actually round. Okay, front board's replaced because it's got a bunch of little leaf switches that are triggered by different pieces in the controls here. It's all put back together. I put the belt on underneath. I don't even really remember what issue I was troubleshooting with this when I was taking it apart months ago. I might have just been exploring and just looking at it. Anyway, power. Hey, it loaded beautifully. Ho, 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 ho. Tape go in. Oh, I gotta slide it. Okay, this isn't even a Beta 1 tape, but let me plug it into the TV so we can watch whatever it spits out. I like how the connections on the back are labeled in and out inside the machine with an old school label maker. Clearly this has seen some service. You can even notice going through it I can see different areas that have been soldered and touched up. Anyway, turn this on. Actually, let's plug in TV signal to see if the tuner even works. All right, hooked it up to my internal cable TV, link to the playlist there for people wondering how I still have analog TV. And I went, oh, I'm not getting anything. Let me hook up a CRT. Sorry, you're gonna have to deal with the frame rate flashing here. And then I remembered, really old video equipment would only pass end to end through if you hit record. It acted just like, say, like an audio cassette deck. So record is this one. And now it's passing through the video signal. Ignore the really bad signal over here. I didn't have enough 3.5 RCA adapters to properly pass that through, so that's super janky. But it's working. And now I can tune through the channels on the front here. And it is, in fact, working. Well, did my antenna go down or did CBC change their frequencies? So, okay, it's stop, which is what? This one? This is stop. This is play. Whoa! It's working! I mean, obviously, let's clean up the tracking here. Obviously not the right speed, but... Pause. Really? Pause just stops it? Seems like a flaw. Okay, there's something wrong with that, but it's playing! Oops. Play. It's very, very quiet. Now, is it just... Let me grab a Beta 1 tape now. I didn't want to eat any of my Beta 1 tapes here. Actually, first, let's see what the rest of the things do. Rewind. What? 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 Why is it showing me picture when it's rewinding really slowly? Fast forward. Holy crap, it shows you the picture when you're fast forwarding. This is... What? Is it supposed to do that? So rewind has a problem. It's very, very slow. It's probably just whatever idler tire is in between the reel tables. That's to be expected. But it shows me a picture. If I hit rewind... That is ridiculous. Okay, let's hit play. All right, fast forward. Oh, something's faulted here. Uh-oh, is it unhappy? This might have been the problem I was experiencing where it wasn't latching down. Try play again. Yeah, so it's not latching down and it's not starting up the motor. Why is that? It says standby. Standby light's coming on. Why? Oh, now that's working. Now rewind's working. It's obviously just stuck because it's not spinning. I'll go fast forward. Yeah. I think I had this apart because there's a bunch of leaf switches underneath these controls, and I suspected that they were dirty. So I'm going to get under there and give them a good sanding and cleaning. So you can see under here, there's these 3 leaf switches. And what I did is I just ran some deoxit on a piece of paper, just sort of rub the piece of paper between the contacts, hoping that'll be enough and I don't have to use anything abrasive like a high grit sandpaper. But if you take a look, rewind pushes this leaf spring, play pushes this one, and fast forward pushes this one.
So it would make sense that, say, rewind was engaging the AC motor, but then play and fast forward weren't, and it was intermittent. So I'm thinking it was these. And then there's one here that when you press eject, it pushes down, which latches the solenoid so that the motor stays on until there's like a switch up here that detects when the tape is fully back into the cassette, and then unlatches and allows, actually I think it's mechanical. I think this won't come up until that carousel has spun around and loaded the tape back in, and then mechanically this gets released. I think it's a mechanical lock. But this latches the motor on until it sees the tape present switch pop up. Okay, rewind, stop, play, no, oh, there we go. And fast forward. Oh, interesting. If I hammer on it, it works. See a light? No, but there might be another micro switch tied to this underneath that also needs cleaning, or maybe is just out of alignment, right? Yeah, I think that's just what it is. Hee hee hee. And rewind. I like that. Basically, they had beta scan on the original machines, and then they just kind of brought it back. Okay, let me find a beta 1 tape. All right, here's my usual beta 1 test tape. Ironically, it says beta 2 on it, but it's not. I actually do have more beta 1 tapes now, because a couple came with this machine. So, and I theoretically, if record works on this, I could make more. So eject. Seems to be keeping the tape taut, which is nice. I'm not seeing any tape bunching up. I think that was just because I had it sitting on its side, which it really didn't like. All right, moment of truth. Hey, it's a little quiet. It's actually really quiet. It's just... But it's working. It's working great. This is about as good as this tape normally looks. A lot of noise though. What about tracking? Oh, tracking does nothing. Like it... Oh! What just happened? Huh, okay. I was messing around with the tracking. Did it unlatch itself? Yeah, there's some mechanical gremlins in here. Now if I hit fast forward... Oh yeah. And then play. Yeah, what's going on here? It's like a solenoid is losing whatever's holding it in place. Like the power. Oh, that's why. The reel's not spinning. Take-up reel is stopping. So if I hit play, rewind, and then we'll hit play. Oh! If that reel stops spinning, it locks out play or fast forward until you rewind. So see, it just faulted out because the tape is all loose in here, and now if I hit play or fast forward, they won't... Okay, I don't even know. But it seems to be locking out play until I do something else to wind the tape back in. Let me test this theory again at play. Yep, so now it's coiling up. Now it is faulted. Now if I hit play again, It won't let me until I hit rewind to load the tape back in, and now I can hit play. No, it's unrelated. It's just, gotta really slam it down. But this is the real tables here. Okay, I'm gonna take this, I think I can take this top loading mechanism off. Let's take a look at the rubber underneath here. All right, I think I got the quiet audio fixed. There's some switches down here that switch between record and play, and of course they were dirty, so I just poofed on the record switch a bunch. And now,
like a butterfly, as soft and gentle as a sigh.
Both sides of Dolly Parton. It's in stores now.
tape's a little unhappy. Oh. Yeah, it's like sticking. Why is it sticking? Anyway, there's a whole bunch of mechanical issues that I'm going to need to go through on here. 90% certain the rubber needs hopefully just a sanding and a renew. Let's take a look at that. So go in from here and you can kind of see down there, there is 1, 2 rubber tires. Very difficult to get to because I'd have to pull this whole top loading mechanism off, which I think might just be these 2 screws on either side, but it kind of looks like it's lined up, right? Like it's been calibrated to get the alignment just right. Maybe it's just me, but I'd have to make sure I mark that so I get it back properly. But the fact that it's playing, I mean, that's pretty crazy. And all the belts on the bottom are great. When I do, let's see, very hard angle here. When I spin that idler wheel up and I put my finger in there to test it, plenty of torque. So the belt that drives that from the underside is great. That part's fine. Any issues seem to be happening up here with the real tables. I mean, all the lights work too. The standby light works. Oops, the record light worked when I had a tape in there that you could record on, so nothing's really burnt out. Even the light for the VU meter works. And let me get a recordable tape in there.
What matters is that the fans of the show liked it.
Last night's Itchy and Scratchy was, without a doubt, the worst episode ever. Rest assured that I was on the internet within minutes, registering my disgust throughout the world.
Hey, I know it wasn't.
Seems to be, I don't know if it's just because I have my volume cranked on my TV because it was quiet earlier, but this definitely doesn't seem to be very responsive. But yeah, tuner appears to work. The line out works, end to end works with the record. I kind of want to make a recording. I mean, I know it's jumping the gun and it's got all sorts of issues here, but I just want to see if it can record. Oh, would you look at that? It appears to really like this tape. Not getting any picture, I guess because it's not recorded in beta 1 and it's moving so fast, like, yeah, that's all you're seeing there. TV, VTR. What happens if I try and play this tape? Yeah. This is beta 3, so doesn't stand a chance. Anyway, I'm going to rewind it. That's waking up nicely. All I did was clean the rubber underneath there. I haven't even sanded or just rubber renew, it's just isopropyl. Anyway, I'm not going to rewind it all the way. Let's reset the counter. I'm going to put, well, actually I can set it ahead of time. So hit record. Oh, there we go. Okay, I've got the source ready.
I know there's a lot of people who don't like.
And time to hit record.
And I think we got off on the wrong foot.
Ah, come on.
A little proactive. Place in their heart. I know.
Yeah, it's unlatching. Something's not not right. I will have to continue troubleshooting that because... So it appears this solenoid here is what's stopping it in record mode. Let's see here, if I go and hit play, you can see that little gray clip there. That is the stop button. Now if I go and hit record, you'll see the solenoid disengage the mechanism. So something electronically is telling this to stop for some reason. Okay, I went and had some dinner, had a thought about this, and what would cause it to stop? So electronically, what internally in this machine would cause the mechanism to shut off and it hit the stop button? Well, the beginning and end of tape sensors would probably do it. So the way beta works is it actually has these little coils and it detects a little foil leader on the beginning and the end of the tape. So there's one sensor there and there's one sensor there. And so there's like, to detect the field change over that sensor, that little coil, they run like a sine wave, like an oscillator through it. And there's adjustments for rewind and forward sensor. So I twiddled the forward sensor. And now, oh, my TV is shut off, but I am recording. Success. Okay, so I'm going to hit play now. Well, actually, let's rewind a bit. Hit play. Oh, it's not popping up.
What about the Emmys? I stand corrected.
Wow.
Present the award.
That looked fantastic. I think this was serviced fairly late in its life. The condition of the belts, there's no squeaking, there's no noises. Every component here, like this tension arm, is free moving. Similar to that U-matic deck I had, this was taken care of and lived a very good life. I have done nothing other than clean the rubber on the idler tires underneath and clean the belts below, and then tweak this adjustment. And also replace the fuse that I'm pretty sure I popped. And it's working beautifully.
Pour une autre soirée d'infos, parce que votre fidélité nous honore, chers amis. Allez, bonsoir.
Informer? If there's one thing I hate, it's an informer.
I really hugged a man before. Yeah.
That capture was pretty dang decent. The resolution, those colors looked great. There was some noise, some almost little herringbone patterns on it. I'll have to hook it directly up to the TV again because I'm using the output to go to the capture device to see if that's just the capture device, because sometimes it'll pick up herringbone on these old machines or induce herringbone noise on the old circuitry here, or if it's just age related. But the picture's clear, the picture's stable, the audio is excellent. I did have to clean, I kept drenching the record play switches in deoxit. Turns out it was the tuner line switch here, so gave that one a good cleaning. And the special effects, which aren't really special effects, but being industrial, it doesn't mute the picture when you put it into modes. The capture device showed the picture so much clearer in fast forward and rewind and pause than, you know, this modern TV did. So I'll show that here. And of course, because the head size matches the video track perfectly, pause looks excellent. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna give this thing a once over, put it back together, and we'll see it when it's all cleaned up.
Well, I was making a test tape and disaster has struck. I think this AC motor has died. It gets pretty warm when you're using it. That's why there's a fan on the bottom and this little fan on the top. But man, that thing is just... I'm worried that running it for over an hour was enough to damage it. This room's gotten quite warm just from using it, although it is a small room. So yeah, I guess I have to remove this. Shoot, I hope this motor isn't cooked. All right, guess let's see what went on in here. It's quite warm, so I wonder if something started failing fairly early on in the test tape, and then when I shut it off, it just seized up. Interestingly, there's already a screw head broken off here. There's this cover. It has these screws that sort of put tension, I guess, around this. Not exactly sure what the purpose of this beige thing is. I'm not really a motor expert, which is evident by the fact that I always mix up the rotor and stator. So, yeah. Look at this chunky guy. What's not boding well is that it's still quite warm. And yeah, you can see where those two set screws held this piece in. Should be easy enough. Oh yeah, see, I can just replace that screw with something, a similar one. It looked like someone had already loosened it, so I don't know why you wouldn't just replace it. Which means someone's actually been in here before. And here it is apart. The rotor and stator. If I got it wrong, leave a comment below, and I'm sure I'll read it. Anyway, the question is, I don't think the issue would be with this, because this is a solid piece, whereas in here there's this little metal layer that's glued over the coils here, and it could be that if it got too hot, the glue holding it in place and one part might have sort of failed and it pulled in because of the temperature and misshaped itself. Or it could be a bearing failure too. Both the bearings have a bit of play in them. I don't know if that's normal or not. Either way, when I spin it, it could be off kilter slightly and then moving around. I'm just going to wipe this inside clean here. See, there's a bit of those heat markings there, and there's that. Not sure what that is. So I don't want to use any harsh chemicals or anything. I'm literally just going to use a wet rag and just wipe it down in here. And then when I put it back together, I might play with the screws and leave them loose a little bit to see if I can get it to spin freely. But that's really about the extent of my motor knowledge. Yeah, you know what? I can get it to spin freely depending on how I line this rear bearing up. And the funny part is, this is actually accessible from the top. All you have to do is remove a little clip, and then you can take that little fan off. And I could do this with this in the machine, which, for all I know, could have been a common fail point. So, I need to find something to sit this on. Ironically, it would be easier to do this in the machine. You're fucking kidding me. So it was just the rear bearing got out of alignment somehow. That's hilarious. Pretty happy, because theoretically I should just be able to pop this back in, and I guess, lesson learned, these old machines don't like a heavy duty cycle. Don't push them so hard. Okay, I'll show my progress in reverse as I put this back together. So this fan's just held on the back there with a little clip you can remove with a flat blade screwdriver. And this piece on the end here is just 2 set Allen screws. And I believe that's roughly the spacing that I had there before. So now I just got to drop this back in, resolder it to the orange goes to the starting capacitor, and then white and black go to neutral and line. Of course, it's an AC motor. And that's about it. Then there's this little other fan blade slash pulley for another belt, because 3 belts go off of this thing, that goes on the end here, but this has to go on afterwards once this is in place. And I believe this also had, yeah, this has an Allen key set screw there as well. Okay, this is so weird. Without this sleeve on, it spins freely. But when I put this sleeve on and tighten this set screw down, so replace the broken one, it doesn't spin freely. So if I push here, it will bind up. I can't do it because I'm holding the camera, but when I push here, it pushes this sleeve or this bearing offset, and it will essentially kind of go cockeyed a little bit. So what's the point of this? Like what? And I looked at footage of like an SL-7200 repair on YouTube, and it's got this sleeve. This is factory. All right, I have it turned upside down right now relative to how I was showing it before. So this is the rear bearing. What I've done is I've added about 3 layers of high temperature Kapton tape here to just sort of keep this back rear assembly here pushing that way. And then I'm only going to snugly tighten these 2 screws. So just snug. It's not going to be putting any pressure. All right, it's in, it's tightened. It's freely spinning. This is the best I can do. I don't know if that rubbing occurred because of a failure and a fix is to back off this pressure here, or maybe this just bent or misshaped because of heat. I don't know what the root cause of this is, but it's working now. Let's hope it works when I put it back in. Got the motor in, got the wiring back in. Just gonna do a quick test. Perfect. I don't have the belts in, so it's faulting out because of that, I'm pretty sure. But, ooh, smooth. Of course, I only noticed the hole here to get the screwdriver through afterwards, before I was angling the screwdriver like this and cursing this bad design. But no, it's smart. And we're back. Did I see a bit of slipping there? Let's try that again. Nope, it looks good. Right back to where we were. No idea. I guess it just overheated. I'll be more careful next time. If it's not one thing, it's another. I've noticed another problem, and that is the tapes. Some tapes, not all. So some seem to play just fine, but they're sticking to the head drum. Which, if you've ever watched a 12-volt bids video, he's talked about this in length. That a lot of these Betamax head drums will get polished from the tape, and then they'll get kind of sticky. And he has a trick using like a bathroom cleaner that's an abrasive, like a mild abrasive, like a Comet cleaner. So I think I'm going to have to do that. If you zoom in here, see that little shiny bit? That's exactly what he talks about. It's kind of polished. So while I'm here, I might as well give that a shot, because this thing is almost working perfectly. All right, I didn't end up taking it out. A couple of reasons. I was following his video, and he didn't have the right size Allen key to take this upper head drum off, but I don't know what Allen key he was looking at. There's one that'll line up here, but that's on the spinning disc, so I don't know what, but I kind of wanted to follow what he did. And also, I used the wrong screwdriver. I was lazy. I thought I could get away with a basic one and completely strip this screw. I wasn't able to take this off, but you can just lift these up and out of the way. And I grabbed some very fine grit. This is like a sanding foam pad used on like palm sanders and stuff, and I just ripped a little bit off there, very, very, very mild, and just sort of polished it, and you can see now that I think it looks pretty good. So we'll try that out. Hopefully that fixes it. The worst polishing was right around here. This is where it was the shiniest, which kind of makes sense because it bends, comes all the way around, so when it's being pulled, it's being pulled in this direction. So this is where most of the polishing action would occur. So yeah, let's see what it does now. It's especially frustrating since I do have the proper bits. Like I'm using it right now. I used it on the second screw and it worked perfectly. The sort of flat bottom GIS style screwdriver bits. Just laziness. So I don't know. Remember that, people. Don't be lazy. Or be lazy, whatever, I don't care. Nope, still sticks. I just noticed with how bad this tension arm is functioning, it's actually allowing the tape to move away from the full erase head. I feel like that's a design flaw, but also I don't think it was ever intended to have this much play. This should have very minor movements, and that's just sticking. I have removed every bit of polish from that upper head drum. I don't think there's anything else I can do. I don't know what's still sticking on this. It could just be this upper head drum is just toast. Which kind of sucks. I mean, some tapes are better than others, so I could just make sure I use tapes that aren't old and sticky. But I did put this in my SL-2710 and it had no problem fast forward rewinding or playing. It worked perfectly, so it's definitely an issue with this machine. Yeah, like this is another tape and it's having no issues at all, so I think this is just more sensitive to older, stickier tapes. Maybe the tires on this are, well, they are worn, and it's just exacerbating the whole thing. But I've got that polished as good as I can, and this is more what I would expect to see. So I've done a lot of work to this thing, but now it's time to demonstrate. And I figured this would be a very nice TV to demonstrate with. KV8000 that has its own issue. The horizontal convergence goes all wacky. Once it's been on for a while, it'll drift and you have to like turn it off and on again. Something I'll get to in the future, but for now, if the horizontal convergence looks bad, just pretend it looks good. So when it comes to Beta 1 tapes, I already had this one that I've used in other videos that came in a random pile. It's actually one of those demo tapes that used to play in music stores, showing a couple music videos and advertisements for a new album, in this case for Dolly Parton. So I had that, and then when I got this, it also came with some tapes. And they were recorded by the previous owner, who I guess had a music studio in his basement and recorded some live bands. So that's pretty cool. But then I went and made some additional tapes. So I made a test tape, and then I recorded some Muppet Show for myself, because I figured it's kind of period correct. First season, came out in 1976, 77. Perfect for this. So let's play a tape here. I made this test tape. It's got some test patterns at the beginning, and then I put some footage on there. So I mean, it looks okay. I mean, it doesn't look amazing, but it's also a nearly 50-year-old machine. And also sometimes it does this. And for those familiar with VCRs, they'll recognize what this is. The video head drum and or capstan speed is not lining up correctly. And it started doing this sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes it plays great. But I'm filming right now, so of course it's going to be bad. Audio sounds fine. Do a pause. It's got nearly perfect pause, like as you would expect. And the cool thing, because this is an industrial model, it doesn't mute the video on all these features. I don't know if the original SL-7200 muted the video when you'd use pause, but this one doesn't. And if I hit fast forward or rewind, it shows the video as well. Now, of course, it's going so fast
that the horizontal's all wacky, right? It's too fast. But you can kind of see, yeah, see the pattern just changed. So now I know if I hit play, it'll be the next pattern. Oh, or footage. You get the convergence back here. So, I mean, it works perfectly fine most of the time. And as you see, there's no tracking issues now, so the speed's syncing up. So I'm not really sure what that issue is. I wonder if control track head's not reading it perfectly all the time. Oh yeah, there's my convergence. If I go, now it's back to normal. Old Sony stuff, am I right? What happens if I put a pre-recorded Beta 2 movie in? So it's got these numbers engraved on the front. And I thought about this, and there's no good way for me to remove them. This is like a brushed aluminum, but it also has a coating on it. So any sanding would remove that coating, and it would never look the same, no matter how much you try and match the pattern. So I'm just going to leave it as is, flaws and all. It's a flawed machine, seen a lot of use, and this is just part of the character. It's part of the history of this thing. Alright, I couldn't leave well enough alone, so I decided to buy the service documentation and dig into the servo circuitry on this. I've learned a ton. It's completely useless. So I essentially learned kind of how this works, how the tracking control works, which is not what I would have expected. But essentially this kind of creates like a pulse width modulated signal that's based on the tracking control pulse. So as I adjust this, it either increases or decreases the waveform duty cycle. And then that falling edge trigger is what is used for the error correction to sync up the PG signal from the bottom of the video head. Hopefully that makes sense. Barely makes sense to me. That ends up going through an amplifier inverter that then flips it around and then applies a voltage to the brake. I verified the brake is not open. It is in fact getting voltage, and I can hear it. If I unplug it, this starts to freewheel, which the tracking moves in and out really fast actually, and I can hear the absence of the sound. It's got a very noticeable sound. I didn't realize that was actually the brake. So when the problem's occurring and the picture's perfect, but then every once in a while it just rolls and then comes back, you can hear the brake actually shut off when it rolls. So what's happening is the tracking signal, that pulse width modulated signal, and the signal from the PG are slowly getting out of sync. They're just slowly getting out of sync. And then when it gets to a point, you just see the whole thing move really quickly and try and sync back up. So what's happening is the voltage going to the brake is basically maxed out. And then it's going, the waveforms are getting out of sync, and they reach a point where they cross, and then the error corrector just drops the voltage entirely and resyncs them up. So it basically lets this speed up to go back in sync the other direction. to me that means that the capstan has enough drag on it, or is running slow enough, that this machine can't slow the video head drum down enough to compensate.
With that knowledge, and I swear this video is going to end at some point, I went and slowed down the top of the video drum with my finger. And I was able to get the two signals, PG and the tracking pulse, to sync up by slowing the video head drum down enough. So, I mean, obviously I can't do that, but I can try and give the capstan every chance it has to be faster. So I took this bottom bearing off, which is just a little piece of plastic, removed all the old grease, which was brown and old, cleaned that, cleaned the path going up to the top, cleaned this belt fully, cleaned the outer part of the capstan flywheel, cleaned where it goes onto this pulley here, and I also oiled these two pulleys because they were making a loud slapping sound. Just put the tiniest bit of oil between the pulley and this shaft here because they're both metal. That quieted up, and so far on its side it's working. Now the question is, if I put it back together and lay it down, will it still continue working? Before I end the video, I wanted to cram even more Sony gear into here. I actually haven't tested these out. These came with the lot that this VCR was part of. This is a power supply and video pass-through for a Sony camera. Not camcorder, just camera. And this is said Sony camera. Let me take these out of the packaging. So this, you plug the camera into the front. Oh, it's missing the little Sony plate. It's got a power switch. And then on the back, you have video out, microphone out, and remote. So on a machine that has remote pause, which this doesn't have, you'd be able to remotely pause it. And here's the camera. So you have, let's lift this giant sucker out. It's a Sony Color Trinicon camera, 7440. So this was all a matching set. So let me set this up. I actually haven't tested this, and there's a good chance this doesn't work. I have bad luck with tube-based cameras finding ones that ever work. So let's see. Holy crap, it works. And the colors work too. Damn, that's pretty slick. Interestingly enough, the adapter here has two RCA out connections, one for audio, one for video, neither of which this VCR has. It also has a 3.5mm remote pause, which this doesn't have. So yeah, I mean, either that was for a later model, like it's got the design language of the SL-3000 from 1979 I did a video on a while back. So it was probably meant for something like that. Also, this doesn't have a built-in microphone. It's got an external mic jack, but it's not actually passing any audio through. No, I'm very, very impressed with this. I'm going to make a test recording. I'm going to have to find an external microphone to either plug into the VCR there or into the camera to test out, but I'm going to do a test recording with this. This looks fun. This is a 1977 Sony SLO-260 Betamax VCR. The basic Betamax, as they called it. This video is being recorded using a Sony Trinicon
camera plugged directly into the Beta VCR, recording on the Beta 1 speed in glorious color. As you can see, you need a lot of light for this to be able to work indoors. But overall, it's not bad. Let's see here. I think it's that light up there that's causing a problem. Shut this off. Oh yeah, there we go. It was a backlighting issue. That actually looks a lot better. Back there, anyway. Just need a lot of light. Well, I'm very happy with this. Not exactly a luggable recorder, but still pretty damn cool. It really doesn't have much. Oh, I'm really clipping here. Let me turn this down. It really doesn't have much for close-up range. Like, it doesn't have any macro abilities. That's about the best. It's about the best I can get it, and I'm about 20 inches away, thereabouts. Also, I think this camera does have a microphone. It's actually on the front. I'll show a video clip of it, but it wasn't working, so that part might be dead. I'm just using a lav mic that I've plugged directly into the front of the machine there. Anyways, thanks for watching.